everybody, and welcome back to another weekly reading vlog. I hope you guys are all doing very, very well. It is Sunday. I had just pressed stop recording on my last video, and now I'm starting this week's vlog, so starting it out on time, which is wonderful. And this week, I've been missing mystery thrillers. I had a great mystery thriller reading experience recently, which was All the Dangerous Things by Stacy Willingham. And I have just been wanting to pick up more thrillers. And rather than making myself read things that maybe I should be reading to complete my summer TBR, or read things that, from my TBR box or whatever it is, I'm going to just read what I want to read. And so this week is going to be another mystery thriller reading vlog. And it really was all kicked off by the new Stacy Willingham release. So without further ado, let's get into the TBR. So, of course, the new Stacy Willingham release is Forget Me Not. This came out very, very recently. I got this for Book of the Month. And as I said, I absolutely loved her release, All the Dangerous Things. And I was reading it just as this came up as a Book of the Month option. And so I was like, yes, please give this to me. I do really love this cover. I find it just stunning. If you look closely, there's kind of like a car in the background, which I'm very intrigued about. Kind of this mysterious plant situation. I think it's beautiful. And this one is about a girl whose sister went missing 22 years ago. And then they're basically trying to find her. She's coming back to her hometown, I believe, to look to see what happened to her. So that's the first one. Then last week I did a little bit of a mystery thriller haul, which I didn't necessarily need to do, but I wanted to. And I picked up a couple of releases. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to all of these this week, just because there's quite a few pages involved in all this, and I do have a very busy work week, but I'm going to just put them out there in the TBR. So the first is We Are All Guilty Here by Karin Slaughter. This is her first book in a new mystery series, the North Falls series. And it says, welcome to North Falls, a small town where everyone knows everyone, or so they think. Yes. That is my kind of mystery thriller. I love the insular, small town, gossipy vibes. And this is about two teenage girls who vanish. So far, this is getting really, really good reviews on Goodreads, so I'm excited to read this. And it does give me kind of summery vibes with the fireflies on the cover, so I think this will be a good end of summer book. And then finally, I'm hoping to pick up the new Holly Jackson, Not Quite Dead Yet. I've never read a Holly Jackson, and this is her adult debut. And it is about a girl who suffers a brain injury, and she basically has 7 days to live, and she's trying to solve who tried to kill her, solve her own murder. This looks really good. I commented on this in the last vlog, but I just find these end pages stunning with the brain CT scans. I almost said MRI. Brain CAT scans. I just think they are stunning. And I think this is set around Halloween, and so I have really been trying to get into the Halloween vibes, the fall vibes, given that we are sneaking up on September. So I just think that another week reading mystery thrillers is where I want to be right now. Otherwise, as I kind of alluded to, this is my week of service. So I go back into the hospital working with residents during the week on the internal medicine wards, and I'm very excited to be back at it. But my service weeks are always extremely busy, which I know and accept and kind of embrace and love, even though it is a chaotic week. So hopefully some really grippy mystery thrillers will be what I want, what I want to get into at the end of long work days. But with that, I think my Uber Eats just got delivered. I ordered a little burrata arugula farro bowl, which just sounded so good and healthy, a good end of the weekend little reset dinner. So I'm going to go eat that and then maybe start reading some thrillers today. i.e. Taylor Swift engagement day. I literally was on a staff meeting, like a very professional, like everyone's Zoom cameras were on, and the staff meeting Zoom chat was just blowing up about Taylor Swift. And I was like, you know what? I think I work in the right place. I think I'm with the right people. I just love that we could bond over that. What else? Also, the Hamnet trailer was released today. Hamnet is a book by Maggie O'Farrell that I read several years ago and really, really, really loved. And the trailer just looks incredible. So I'm really excited for when that comes out. I don't actually remember if there was a release date on the end of the trailer, but I think it's coming soon. It looks like it will be in the near future. Today was my first day back at work, which went fine. Only 6 patients on the list, which was great, which means I have more time to like chat with patients and not just be rushing and trying to like get through everything. I think those are the updates. Nothing big has happened. I've just, after I got home today, I've just been up in my reading room, just binge reading the new Karen Slaughter, and I have so many thoughts about it. So I'm currently on page 182, so kind of nearing the halfway point, not quite there yet. I literally read over 100 pages of this today in one sitting. I don't want to give too much away because this book is so twisty that the moment you think you know what's happening or the moment you think you know which way this book is going, like it twists and it twists and it twists again. And I love that so much because I think being a reader who has read a lot of mystery thriller books, there's like a certain predictableness to them and a pattern to them, and I really don't feel like this one follows it. But the jumping off point is we're at the 4th of July. Everybody from this small town, or most people from this small town, are at the 4th of July fireworks celebration. There's, people eating food. It's very like celebratory but warm evening. And the very first chapter is told from one of the girls that goes missing, but then that's all you get. And we go from there. We're following, obviously that first chapter is from the girl, but then after that we're following Officer Emmy Clinton, who is one of the officers in the North Falls Police Department, and her family is very prominent in the community. Like her father is one of the head police officers, and so there's that kind of interesting dynamic between all of the different Clintons who live there, and also interesting dynamic between her and her father and lots of the different people in the city. I feel like, or in the village, I should say. I feel like that this has been set up for a lot of like shoot-offs and like, I think that these characters could really fly in a lot of different situations, which is great because it's a series. As I said, I have not read Karen Slaughter before. This is really my first experience with her because I've just been very overwhelmed by like knowing where to start because she's just written an immense number of books. Like the very first page, obviously it's the like title page, but then all of Karen Slaughter's books are on this side, and it's just overwhelming. So that being said, I didn't know where to start. And when I saw this book come out, I was like, you know what? I'll give her a go. Like, new series. This sounds really like me. So I'll just kind of start from the beginning. And I'm just loving the writing style. It is so fast, so pacey. It's the kind of writing where you just like flip because you have to know. It's not that same like atmospheric writing like Stacey Willingham. This is more like true thriller, flip. But that being said, there is good character development. There is good character dynamics. It's not just like in it for the action. I mean, it is, but there's also other things that makes it more than that. So I don't know. Could this be another 5-star thriller? Like what even? In August, 2 5-star thrillers. I'm getting ahead of myself. Truly getting ahead of myself, but I am really, really enjoying this so far. I think it is really excellent. So it is getting late. Tyler and I, again, procrastinated on wedding stuff. If you haven't been following the vlog, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. And there are all those like little last minute annoying things that we haven't done and need to do. Like printing out the little name tags for the table and printing the seating chart. And we've just been not wanting to do it because we both worked a lot today. So we put that off for tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we actually get that done because I think we're nearing the point where we've almost checked all the boxes. It's just the last little hurdle of getting the last few things done. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm going to head to sleep, and I am probably going to have nightmares about this book. Hello everybody, it is Friday. I've done a very poor job of updating this vlog, which I apologize, but I do have quite the update for you right now because I have finished a book and I have 3 bookish packages that came in, so let's get into it. Couple of life updates. So this week on service has been just like, I feel like I'm in an episode of House, like the medical mysteries, the weird cases that take twists. Hello Gilbert has just been really like thought-provoking and interesting and something that I've loved, but has taken a lot out of me mentally. So just been kind of a long week, and that's why I haven't done a whole lot of updates. But and the other life update is I finally gave up on my tea plant. If you've been following the vlog for a while, this summer I bought a Camellia sinensis tea plant, and I think exposed it to my air conditioning unit in too much of a way. That is not how you say that. It was right in front of the air conditioning unit, and I don't think that was good for it. I also think I overwatered it, and so it died. I gave it like a good 3 weeks there in good fresh soil outside, and it did not come back. So I ordered a jasmine plant from The Sill, which is a company that delivers like live plants to your home. And I planted it today, and I'm really hoping that it thrives. It already has a few flowers on it. I do love jasmine tea, so I was planning to add a little bit of like the flowers into my black tea. It is cat safe, so I'm really hoping that this is a good solution. So still outside. It does pretty well outside, but I will bring it in obviously once it starts to get much cooler. It is a little bit like crisp autumnal the last couple days, but no, we're nowhere near frost. Why am I talking about the weather so much? Okay, let's get into book mail. All of these, I believe, are from Thrift Books, all purchased by yours truly. All right, so this is The Overstory by Richard Powers. This was a Pulitzer Prize winner, and it's a book that I've had on my mind for a long time. The main reason being I read the first chapter or so when I was in Barnes & Noble and just like was kind of perusing through some books. And I remember being really, really struck by the writing and really enjoying it. It says the overstory unfolds in concentric rings of interlocking fables that range from antebellum New York to the 20th century timber wars of the Pacific Northwest and beyond. And I think all the stories kind of have to do, or like metaphorically have to do with parts of a tree. So like the roots stories, and then I don't know if there's like leaves, etc. But yes, I've heard really good things about this. I was very intrigued about it. I do think I might table this for a little bit because I don't know that I'm in the mood to pick up like a chunky literary-ish book right now, but I definitely do want to read this at some point. So this is Detransition Baby. I want to do a Torrey Peters video at some point, and I own stag dance, so I wanted to read these two together. It says, Reese almost had it all: a loving relationship with Amy, an apartment in New York City, a job she didn't hate. She had scraped together what previous generations of trans women could only dream of: a life of mundane bourgeois comforts. The only thing missing was a child. But then her girlfriend Amy detransitioned and became Ames, and everything fell apart. Now Reese is caught in a self-destructive pattern, avoiding her loneliness by sleeping with married men. Very interesting. So at some point I do want to read this, plan to read it with the other Tori Peters, but it'll probably be a little while before I read this as well. I'm really in a thriller mood right now. So while I love literary, I'm not sure that I want to pick this up next. Then we have a ravioli package. I can't believe I'm holding this in my hands right now. What? Okay, let me give you a little backstory. So I read Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. I want to say at the beginning, like earlier on this year. I really, really enjoyed it. Then I was doing a little Google around, and I saw that she had 2 other books that were written, and I was very confused. Like, why? I thought Broken Country was a debut. Why are these other new releases in paperback? Like, I was very confused. And it didn't seem like they were released in the US. Like, you had to pre-order them. I think they were just released in the UK. So I was like, whatever, I'll pre-order them and wait for this US release, and totally forgot that this was happening. It says, from the author of Broken Country comes a gripping family drama about love, loss, and the unbreakable bonds of family, both chosen and biological. Is this a mystery or no? And she also has another book, Pictures of Him, which I believe I also pre-ordered, and I don't know where it is, but maybe it will be coming shortly, in which case I am certainly going to be doing a reading Claire Leslie Hall's backlist. I'm just so interested in everything about this. Sorry. So I did not think this was going to be the last book. I thought there was going to be a different book that was going to be in this last package, but I'm very excited to have this. It says, Luke and Hannah live a happy and stable life in London, working in jobs they love as they prepare for the arrival of their first child, Samuel. All his life, Luke has known he was adopted, but until now, he's never felt the need to seek out his birth mother. Spurred by the connection he feels to his son, Luke begins a search that leads him to Alice, his biological mother. Their first encounter is surreal, a sharp prick that barely scratches the surface of a painful past that neither of them has ever fully confronted. Okay. Really interested. I don't think this is a thriller. I'm not getting thriller vibes from this. I think it's just like a kind of novel. So this is the very random little book haul. We are all guilty here. So I just finished this. It was definitely a chunkier read, and the font is on the smaller end. So this did take me a little while to get through, especially with being on a busy week. But I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. And this is a mystery series that I am like fully in till the end. So I've told you little bits about this. But what I would say, like as this evolves, I think this is a very gripping thriller. I did guess many aspects of the reveal. However, it did go in directions that I did not expect. Like it was, even though I was able to guess parts of it, I think most mystery thriller readers will get a lot of like suspense from this and be really intrigued in the directions that it goes. There are themes of family and kind of like following in family footsteps as our main character, Emmy, a lot of her family are police officers, and so she has kind of followed in their footsteps and is now a investigator with the police force in North Falls, this small town. So there's a lot of like interesting mentorship, family pressure vibes. This is a lot of really, really dark content. Trigger warnings for child abuse, sexual abuse, particularly of children. So just prepare yourself and look up a full list of trigger warnings if you do want to pick this up, because there were a lot of really, really dark themes in this. But I just loved like the character dynamics. I think I'm so invested
and what happens to all these characters. And like sometimes I feel that with mystery thrillers, but I don't always. So that felt really unique for this. And I just really, really loved it. The reason I didn't give this 5 stars, I thought about it, but it did drag just a little bit. I think this was just a tad too long. I think the reason was because it's a first book in a series. And so I think like you're trying to introduce everything. You're trying to like lay breadcrumbs for further books in this series. And so maybe like someday down the road, I'll be like, okay, I get why there was like that whole bit in the middle. But I just feel like parts of this were just a little tad slow. But phenomenal, phenomenal read. 4.5 stars. I absolutely love this one. Highly recommend if you're looking for a new mystery thriller, kind of like detective-y, procedural type book. I think I'm going to read Not Quite Dead Yet next. I'm feeling like this will be pretty quick. And because my brain is kind of all over the place and I desperately want to like be all there when I read the new Stacey Willingham because I'm just obsessed with her. Not that I'm not all there for this, but I don't know that my brain is like in the headspace to pick up one of her books right now. So I think I might just try something which sounds like it's going to be very plotty, fast paced, like a little bit turn your brain off. So I think I'm going to pick this up next. I think I'm going to start tomorrow though, because I am quite tired right now. But yes, excited to dive into this one as well. So what a bookish week. I am going to head to sleep. I am very, very tired. But overall, just like a stellar reading week so far. So I'll catch up with you guys hopefully tomorrow. So it is currently Sunday, and I have a few life updates for you before we wrap up this vlog. So on Friday evening, I was brushing my teeth, flossing my teeth, as I always do before I go to bed after my whole debacle with the dentist. I will link the vlog where I talked about that originally if you're curious. And as I'm flossing one of my teeth, my filling just pops out of my mouth. I was like, okay, cool. So I go to sleep. I'm in a lot of pain. And I wake up. Of course, I have to go to work. There are no days off work. And I'm like, well, I have a hole in my mouth. What do I do? So I ended up having to go to the emergency dentist. It cost $500 to get my filling replaced, which is now thankfully replaced. And the dentist was so lovely, so sweet. Like, he just did an amazing job. And thank you to him for saving my weekend. But it was not the way that I wanted to start out Labor Day weekend, but thankfully everything is fine. I'm feeling fine. I don't know why it happened. I don't know. I don't think I did anything wrong. I don't know, but it is what it is. Of course, this would happen on Friday of Labor Day weekend when everything is closed on Monday, but thankfully it got dealt with, and yeah. So with that, it is now time to wrap up this weekly reading vlog. Let me do this. Let me first tell you my initial thoughts of Not Quite Dead Yet, because I have not finished it yet. So I want to kind of give you a little bit of that, and then I'll wrap up the rest of the vlog like I typically do. So I am currently on page 118, so not quite at the halfway point yet. And I'm going to be honest, the beginning of this book was pretty bad for me. I found the first chapter of this to be really, really character dumpy. The first chapter is when kind of the crime of the book happens, but it's also when the author decides to kind of introduce all of the characters. And so I found that to be really overwhelming. And then the big thing that bothered me the most about this is the medical setup of this is just so outlandish that I had to suspend my disbelief to believe that this would happen. So basically the setup is this girl named Jet goes to her home. There's someone in the home she didn't know, and they bludgeon her over the back of her head, and she almost dies. She's brought to the hospital. They do some surgeries on her. But they determine that there's an aneurysm in her brain that is going to burst in 7 days. And so they can do a surgery now, and she has a very low chance of survival. She will likely die on the table. Or they cannot do the surgery, and she'll probably die in 7 days from the aneurysm. And of course, she picks that because she wants to solve who tried to murder her. That's kind of the setup. That would never happen. That would never happen. But it's fine. So I'm suspending my disbelief on that one. After we got through a pretty rocky start to the beginning of this, I am really starting to enjoy it. We're kind of looking back into Jet's life. We're looking back into all the characters that were kind of dumped into the beginning of the story. Very fall vibes because this murder or this attempted murder happens around Halloween. So it's really atmospheric. And after the rocky start, I've really, really been enjoying it. But I was rolling my eyes a little bit at the beginning of this one. So I can't promise that I will love this, but I'm definitely going to finish it because my interest is being piqued the further I go into it. So there's that one. So anyways, I have not quite filled out my bullet journal for this week yet, although I have calculated statistics and picked a favorite quote. So let's go through the typical wrap up for the week. So I ultimately only finished one book this week, which is We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter, which I gave 4.5 stars and really, really loved. In terms of some statistics, so I read 556 pages, which was an average of 79 per day. Not great. I'm not thrilled about it. Usually I read closer to 1,000, but this was a very busy work week. I had a lot going on. And overall, I'm happy. Like, I finished a book that I really enjoyed, and you can't get better than that. So 79 pages per day, 556 pages total. And then for my quote, I'm actually going to go with a quote from Not Quite Dead Yet. And the reason being is I think it's a really unique quote that I wouldn't find in a lot of mystery thrillers. And as a mystery thriller lover, like, that's always going to strike me and be something I love. So it comes on page 37 of the book. It says, I'm finally going to do something, Mom, something important, and I'm going to see it through to the end. This time will be different. It has to be different because it's my last chance. Do something, Mom cried. What do you mean? Do what? Something great. Something no one has ever done before. I am going to solve my own murder. Which is just honestly the setup for this book, but I just thought that that was such a fun quote. So if you have made it to the end of this video, I would love if you would leave me a brain emoji for all of the beautiful brain imaging on this book that I just picked up. And with that, I will see you guys very soon with another video. Bye.